Hey Zion, can you send this to the chat?
Yes, sir.
See, that brother did too much. See, that's what happens when you do too much. You get kicked off.
I ain't been on this page lock. Ooh, man.
How that happen?
Facebook was out of window open, but I figured it out.
Oh, okay. You give it a minute or two. Shalom, family. Shalom. All right. First and foremost, I want to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, Hashem, Hamashiach, Yahushua. So, doing this quick little lesson that's necessary and needed for the family. The title of this lesson is "Do This, and Your Children Will Be Successful." You know, we do so many videos over ourselves, and we don't always focus on our children. When we come into the world, especially in America, we strive for success, and we try one way, and that one way don't work. We try another way, and that way don't work, and we keep trying different ways, and these ways are just not working. The Bible has a solution. The Bible has always had the solution, and I want to bring y'all to some scriptures. I want to show a couple of videos. Zion, can you get that one? What do you call it? Yeah, Fair Use Act. Before we present this, can you just read it?
It says Fair Use Act refers to the Fair Use Doctrine, part of the U.S. Copyright Act, Section 107. It says it allows limited use of copyrighted material without permission for purposes like criticism, commentary, news, reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research.
So we're going to be using a couple of these videos just for edification purposes only, just so that we can make a better point, and so brothers and sisters can see exactly what we're going into. So there is so much when it comes to raising a child, like choosing a name, making sure it has self-esteem, self-control. It's able to control its emotions to where it's approving a friend, a job, a husband, or a wife. There's so much that involves into raising a child that we don't necessarily always go to the Bible until it's too late. But we should be preventing those things before they happen. So this is one of the first videos I want to read. As a matter of fact, Zion, can you get that Proverbs chapter 22 and verse 6, and then I'm going to get into the video.
Sure. This is Proverbs 22, verse 6. It says, train up a child in the way he should go, and when he is old, he will not depart from it.
So we're supposed to be training up a child from birth, from its youth, right? So I want to show this video real quick, and then we're going to get into it. Okay, what happened? There we go. Lord willing, if y'all brothers and sisters can't hear it, just let me know. It's a minute and 4 seconds long. Bear with me.
Can photos on a wall boost your kids' confidence?
Families who show extended family member photos, even if it's just over your mantle, if you have your grandparents, your aunts and uncles, maybe images of your great grandparents, it increases the confidence of your child like tenfold.
So they're saying the photos, that you put in your household of your family members increases their confidence. It increases their confidence. A lot of times we have a tendency to tell bedtime stories that are not real, or we have pictures on the wall that are like images of Spider-Man. I know that's one of the things I had on my wall growing up. Those things don't necessarily do a lot for the child like it should. So when you have actual family photos, they're going to go into how it shows just a real quick understanding on how those photos show, and the story behind the photos of a family member gives the child something to strive for, right? And this is exactly what the scriptures are for. This is why the Bible is relatable to us more than we know, especially when we come into the knowledge of the truth, because we see our forefathers and our foremothers. This is our blood relatives. These are our blood relatives, and they have the stories behind them. It's supposed to be bringing hope. Through patience and comfort of the scriptures, we may have hope. This is what it does. I'm going to keep going.
Because children begin to see where they come from, the legacy that they're a part of, and why they matter. Even something as little as putting up a family history wall of images. That was something my dad did growing up. I think that brought about so much confidence in me, because I knew exactly where I came from and who I was related to.
Right.
And this is what we're going into. These stories of our forefathers, King David, King Solomon, Christ, Elijah, all these stories, Hannah, Susanna, these stories bring so much confidence to our children. This is very important. Like we shouldn't be taking these things lightly. We should be making sure we're edifying and educating, and also putting imagery to the storyline for our children, because the mind does better when it comes to images, especially for a child. Shoot, just for us too. But we don't want to give our children fake stories. We want to give them these real stories. These stories are more important to the child than any of the other stories that are made up, right? Let's keep going.
Right. How does this really work? We were built to benchmark ourselves against previous generations. Our main mandate is to take the family line farther, to make our ceiling our kids' floor. But remember, that's a challenge to our kids to know the family history and to be prepared to take the family to the next level.
To know the family history and to take our family to the next level. To take our family to the next level. Let me get this, Zion, in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 6. So the standard is the law, statutes, and commandments. The standard is already been set, how our forefathers walked, the righteousness and the unrighteousness. We saw the examples that they've given us, both men and women, what we should be doing and what we should not be doing. These are examples, these are lessons, these are stories that we should be teaching our children. Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 1.
Con, this is Deuteronomy 6 and verse 1. It says,
go ahead.
Con, it says, Deuteronomy 6 verse 1, it says, now these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which the Lord your God commanded to teach you, that ye might do them in the land whither ye go to possess it.
So we're supposed to be doing these in the land where we possess. Wherever we go, wherever uh, wherever we settle, we're supposed to be keeping the commandments of the Most High. Go ahead.
It says, verse 2, that thou mightest fear the Lord thy God, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command thee, that I command thee, thou and thy son and thy
Hmm.
son's son, all the days of thy life, and that thy days may be prolonged.
What verse are you at?
Verse 2.
Go ahead.
Verse 3, hear therefore, O Israel, and observe to do it, that it may be well with thee, and that thee may increase mightily, as the Lord God of thy fathers hath promised thee, in the land that floweth with milk and honey.
Jump down to verse 7.
Verse 7, it says, Deuteronomy 6, verse 7, and thou shalt teach them diligently unto thy children, and thou shalt talk of them when thou sittest in thine house, and when thou walkest by the way, and when thou liest down, and when thou risest up.
So this is all the time. We're supposed to be teaching these stories, giving these testimonies, these examples to our children diligently. We're supposed to be talking about the laws of the Most High God to our children diligently. So this is all that they see. When they go out into the world, this is what they see. They see the laws, statutes, and commandments. They see the things that are right and the things that are wrong according to the laws of the Most High God. They see the world through the lenses of our God, through their power. This is what they see. They don't see it based off of their own understanding, their own heart. So we're supposed to be raising them according to the laws of the Most High God so they can have the glasses of the Heavenly Father. So this is a continual talk to our children, making it not a grievous lesson to them, not something that's just, make it fun for them. This is where you got to create. This is where you got to be creative. This is where you got to, you watching a movie, and the movie is not just a movie. The movie is a lesson. Find out what part that they like the most, and then relate it back to the Bible. That's talking to them, to the children diligently, consistently, over a period of time, continuously, right? So we're supposed to always be in the laws of the Most High God, these stories and these testimonies. If y'all brothers got anything, feel free to jump in at any time. Zion, let me get the book of Susanna, chapter 1.
I got one.
Go ahead.
So in Deuteronomy, so if you don't know, in the Torah, you have commands to teach your children the laws, statutes, and commandments. So it's very important that your children do know about the laws, statutes, commandments. You know how old your children is. You know what they're able to comprehend. So you should be able to know what to teach them. Some things are too deep, yes, but some things is basic. Like they need to be knowing the Lord's name. Some of the commandments. Like if you see your child doing something, you teach them that. Like if they like to steal stuff, you teach them that law. Hey, no stealing, right? No stealing, right? And you build that into them. But it's laws on how to deal with our children according to the Torah, like Passover. Your children should be at the Passover. Why? Because it tells you in Exodus chapter 12 and 26 that your children is supposed to ask about the Passover. What mean ye by this service? And the Lord said, you are to tell them this is the Lord's Passover. So your children should be at these feast days. Your children should be knowing the laws of God. You shouldn't wait till they're 11 and 12 years old to be trying to teach them the laws, because there's a saying in the world, you can bend a branch, but you cannot bend a tree. It's very important that they notice, like the captain said, at a very young age. The same way you think of a name before they born, you're supposed to be thinking, what you're going to start off with teaching them too also. But Deuteronomy chapter 4 and verse 9, it says, only take heed to thyself and keep thy soul diligent, lest thou forget the things which thine eyes have seen. So this goes for us. We're supposed to be constantly in the scriptures, learning, growing, so that what? And lest they depart from thy heart all the days of thy life, but teach them thy sons and thy sons' sons. And it says the same thing in Deuteronomy chapter 6. It says, when you lay down, when you wake up, when they pass by, just summing it up, always keep this on their mind, because this is our inheritance. This is all we got. The world, we're outcast to the world. The world don't want nothing to do with us except for spoil. They use us and abuse us, and that's it. This is our inheritance. Salakia, go ahead.
Con, and whenever we get into the scriptures, you'll see why this is enough. The laws of the Most High God is enough, and we see that the nation of Israel is the top nation on earth, and how we rule and reign in righteousness. So let's get the book of
Susanna.
what's up?
Keep off with Susanna.
Oh no, yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that just a second. Now let's go ahead and get it. Susanna chapter 1 and verse 2 and 3. Susanna chapter 1 and verse 2 and 3. So we tell our daughters the story, the righteousness of our foremothers, and see how they walked, to see how they were taught, and see that they are walking in the same footsteps of their foremothers. This is a beautiful thing for them to experience. They get to see, they get to be very pleased that they're walking in someone that is recorded in history, throughout history. Right? Go ahead.
This is Susanna chapter 1 and verse 2. It says, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Celsius, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Lord. Her parents also were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses.
So this is something you could be teaching your children, your daughters, that she feared the Lord. Her name is written in the Bible, and you can raise her in this manner. She feared the Lord. That's first and foremost that needs to be taught to not just the children, but anyone that come into the truth. That's number one thing. That's number one thing. The sons of Jacob, we make that the number one topic of discussion whenever we're edifying and educating. They need to know the fear of the Lord. That's first and foremost. That's heavy. It says her parents also were righteous, understanding what righteousness is. It says, and taught their daughter according to the laws of Moses. The same thing that we're teaching our daughters is the same thing Susanna learned. It's the same thing we're teaching our daughters, the laws of Moses, right? So I want to pull that out. Let me get the book of Psalms chapter 78. Psalms chapter 78, 1 through 7.
This is Psalm chapter 78. Psalms chapter 78 and verse 1. It says, in thee, O Lord, do I put my trust. Let me
Is that verse 1?
Yes, sir. Psalm 71?
78 and 1.
This is Psalm chapter 78, verse 1. It says, give ear, O my people, to my law, and incline your ears to the words of my mouth. I will open my mouth in a parable. I will utter dark sayings of old, which we have heard and known, and our fathers have told us.
Mm-hmm.
We will not hide them from their children, shewing to the generations to come the praise of the Lord and his strength and his wonderful works that he has done.
God, so we're supposed to be showing our children the parables of the Most High God. We're showing them the testimonies of the Heavenly Father God. We're showing them this to our generations so that they can fear the Lord and have hope in him, right? Proverbs 31 and 1 sticks out beautifully for a son and for a daughter, just so that they can know. But keep going.
This is Psalm 78, verse 5. For he established a testimony in Jacob and appointed a law in Israel, which he commanded our fathers that they should make them known to their children, that the generation to come might know them, even the children which should be born, who should arise and declare them to their children, that they might set their hope in God and not forget the works of God, but keep his commandments.
So that's it. So we're supposed to keep showing our children these laws of the Most High God. We're going to go into a law that is important that I want to touch on for the children to learn. I know we keep talking about the laws of the Most High God, but not going into the laws. But we did it first. We went into the first from Deuteronomy chapter 6. But I want to go more into the laws. We're supposed to be teaching our children these laws of the Most High God continuously throughout our generation, showing them the parables, the wise sentences, the sayings, so that they can have hope in the Heavenly Father God, in Christ, right? So let's get Deuteronomy 25 and 5. And before I do that, I want to show this video real quick. I'm going to bring this video to the stage in just a second. Bring this video to the stage. I don't know if any brothers or sisters seen this video. Anytime I do this lesson, I always talk about this video. And the screen, this short 1 minute and 9 seconds doesn't necessarily do it justice, but it kind of gives you a hint of what it's going into. But I'm just going to play it. Start it out.
I know you love Venus. And all this is exciting, but it's a little hard for you too, huh? Can I tell you a secret?
Okay, so I want to start there. Stop there. He said so Venus is getting a lot of attention. They were both raised in tennis, but Venus, the oldest, is getting a lot of attention. And he said it's hard for her. That is important. Going through things that are hard are important for your children. A lot of times our children don't really get challenged. I want to keep going on a series, probably making another series over how fathers have been getting recognition for pushing their children to the best of their ability. I'm sure a lot of people that are listening to me, they may have played sports. The best physical shape that you've ever been is when you were playing a sport. And the reason being is because you're being pushed by a man or a woman, your coach. You're being pushed to be the best version of yourself, right? Because they know you got something in you. The children need to be challenged. And that's one thing that fathers do. They challenge the children. And sometimes it looks harsh. The child is crying. The child is going through some things. But at the end, the child succeeds. And it shows them something about themselves that they can do it. So don't be afraid of teaching our children not to be afraid of challenges.
Your sister is going to be #1 in the whole world, no doubt about it.
I know that.
But you're going to be the best that ever was. You're going to be the greatest of all time. You know how I know? Because I planned for it. I knew you was having a hard time in Venus' shadow, but I kept you there because I knew you was raw. I knew you was tough. I knew you was a fighter.
So he knew his daughter. This is something that we as parents can't overlook, the good and the bad of our children. You must know your children, know their strengths, know their weaknesses, know what level to push them, know how far to push them. You know what I'm saying? Know your children. So he knew her. He knew that she could be pushed, that she could stand a lot of pressure. And he said that she would be the best. But the point was that he planned for it before they were born. Before those girls were born, he already had a plan for his daughters. And that's what I want to touch on in the law of God. Let's get that in the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 25.
Hey, Salakia.
Go ahead.
And why he getting that? Both parents have to be in line with this plan. Because sometimes, we see the dad be with the plan and the mom isn't, or the other way around. And the plan, it gets pulled back and forth and this child grow up confused, which is not good.
Great point.
Khan, this is Deuteronomy 25, verse 5. Deuteronomy chapter 25, verse 5. It says, if brethren dwell together and one of them die and have no child, the wife of the dead shall not marry without unto a stranger. Her husband's brother shall go in unto her and take her to him to wife, and perform the duty of an husband's brother unto her.
Right. So we see what's going on here. We have the understanding that if two brothers are dwelling together and one of their brothers died and the wife doesn't have a child, that wife goes to the other brother, the living brother. And then the brother performs the husband of a duty to the wife that didn't have a child. Right. So this is what the Bible's explaining. Go ahead.
Verse 6. And it shall be, that the firstborn which she beareth shall succeed in the name of his brother, which is dead, that his name be not put out of Israel.
He shall succeed in the name of his brother, meaning he's supposed to take on the lineage, the job, the position of the brother that died, so that the name of his brother be not put out of Israel. This is the love of the Heavenly Father God, his successor. The child is being a successor to the brother that died. He's taking on the lineage of the brother that died. He's taking on a job. He's his strength, so that his brother's name be not put out of Israel. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 7. And if the man
So
like
like
not,
no. We'll go ahead. We're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna go ahead and jump to Sirach after this. Go ahead.
you want me to read verse 7?
Yeah, go ahead.
Con. This is Deuteronomy 25, verse 7. It says, and if the man like not to take his brother's wife, let his brother's wife go up to the gate unto the elders, and say, my husband's brother refuseth to raise up unto his brother a name in Israel. He will not perform the duty of my husband's brother. Then the elders of his city shall call him and speak unto him, and if he stand to it and say, I like not to take her, then shall his brother's wife come unto him in the presence of the elders, and loose the shoe from off his foot, and spit in his face, and shall answer and say, so shall it be done unto that man that will not build up his brother's house.
So this is what's supposed to happen in Israel if the brother doesn't do his duty according to his brother that passed away, to raise up a successor in his name. Let's get the book of Sirach, chapter 30 and verse 1. So raising up a child, having a plan for that child before they are born, or having something planned for them before they get started in the workforce, right? Having a plan for them. Now, we may think that as a cruelty, as like something that's like, man, that's wrong. You don't get to choose. How many of us are jumping from job to job trying to find our way because we're good at everything? Either we're good at everything or we're just not succeeding, so we try something else. I got so many certifications, don't make no sense. Like if I had this planned for me, I would have been set on one straight path. I would have had more success. I use the example of even if I was a janitor. That was the most paying job that I've ever had, was being a janitor. And I've been firefighter. I've been a lot of different things. But the janitor job was the most paid job that I had. So I wouldn't worry too much about what the title of the job is. It's just that you set them on a course and raise them in that way. Have them raised in a position that you see fit for that job. Like Captain said too, making sure both parents are on the same page. That's a very good point. But this isn't talked about. We see this in other cultures, and we see this here. This is also in our culture too. Other cultures, they're having success in their children because they're doing this. The blueprint is already there. It's already written. We just got to follow it. Don't be afraid. I talked to this native lady. She was raised traditional, and she said that the men of the tribe made the decisions on everything. On everything. She said everything. And I said, well, how did you make that feel? I said, because modern women today wouldn't like that. They don't like a man making the decisions over them and the house and the business. She said, I didn't think nothing about it. That's how I was raised. I didn't think that it was right or wrong. I just went with it. And and she was older. She was like in her 70s. She was an older Creek lady. So that's exactly how our children are going to think. They're not going to think anything of it. They're not going to think like how we think. Oh, that's wrong, man. And you didn't get a choice. You didn't get a say so in what career you wanted to pick, right? Or your husband or your wife, you didn't get a say so. Man, that's got to be brutal. Those people that go into. I wanted to do a lesson on this too, to show some accounts how there is more success in an arranged marriage, and the women are happier in an arranged marriage than any other marriage. Those were videos that I come across. How they're now there's a difference between forced marriages and arranged marriages. A forced marriage is different. They're of age. Some of them you may see in their teens. Some of them may see in their 20s. Some of them you may see getting married to a woman that's 70, and they're forced to be married to that woman. That's a forced marriage where it wasn't arranged. It wasn't from birth. They were okay. Now we know that you like this lady, this girl that you raised up with, but now you can't do that because it wasn't arranged. It was forced. So there's a difference between a forced marriage and an arranged marriage. But the arranged marriage is when it's happened from birth. From birth, it was happened. They were destined to be together. The fathers and mothers came together and they arranged them. So,
Salakia.
Go ahead.
So going back to the point that you made a second ago, that's true, man. When your kids don't know unless what you teach them. It's understandable for parents that's just now coming into the truth and their kids already celebrated holidays and they got to fight against that. But some parents, they having children and these kids don't get to experience these holidays. School is a big problem. But other than that, they're not, getting mad and wondering why they can't celebrate these holidays. Like my kids, I teach my kids all the time. Every time a holiday come up, I ask them, they know about it, and we talk about it. And I tell them how evil it is, and they completely understand. Like, and I even crack jokes with them. I say, Merry Christmas, just to test them to see what they had. And they get all loud, like, what are you talking about? We don't celebrate Christmas. And it makes me happy because I understand, like, okay, they get it. They understand. I ain't got to worry about them going off, trying to sneak and go celebrate or nothing because this is all they know. They go to the feast days. They understand the feast days. So that's very important, man. I'm going to just say that. Go ahead.
All praises. Kyle, let's get that in Sirach chapter 30. Hold on, I think there was a strong point. Let's get 30. Let's get 30 and 30. Now let's start at 1. We'll start at 1.
Yes, sir. This is Sirach 30:1. It says, "He that loveth his son causeth him oft to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end."
Right. So I have a big example from this. My father, he corrected me a lot when I was a child. And when he got older, he became of age where he couldn't take care of himself. Man, I didn't feel no type of way of taking care of my father. And I said, yes, sir, all the way until he passed. Yes, sir, no, sir. That's how I addressed him, with respect, because that's how he trained me. And he trained me with the rod of correction. So this is very important. Go ahead.
It says, verse 2, "He that chasteneth his son shall have joy in him, and he shall rejoice of him among his acquaintance."
Hey, Salaki. So also, like, my father got feedback from that. It was like, man, you don't see that very often. They would come to his peers would come to him and be like, man, you don't see a lot of children saying yes, sir, and no, sir. Just having that respect, having that love. Y'all, he not only did he say yes, sir, and no, sir. This is what they're telling my father, but he also gave you a hug. That's just something that brought joy to people that saw us together. Right? Go ahead.
Verse 3, "He that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends shall he shall rejoice of him."
Mm-hmm.
Verse 4, "Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead, for he hath left one behind him that is like unto himself."
Like unto himself. This is that successor we read in Deuteronomy 25. Even though that he is dead, he left behind him one that is like unto himself, so that his name be not put out of Israel. This is what we must be doing in order to see a success in the nation of Israel. We must be following after these examples so that we'll see these success stories of a lineage continuing. Like, our people don't even know who their enemy is. Our children don't, people, not let alone our people. So what do you think they're going to teach the children? If the men don't know who their enemies are, according to the Bible, they're going to teach their children to befriend the enemy. That's what they're going to do. They're going to teach the children to befriend the enemy. So the children don't know who their enemies are. They're just befriending them and not aware of the evil devices that they got, the cunningness of the enemies, that they rather see them fall or fail just because they got a smile on their face.
Hey, so Salakia, I'm glad you said that. I was just teaching this to my sons the other day. I was teaching them. I asked them a question. I said, "Hey, do y'all have white boys that y'all will consider y'all friends?" Two of them said yeah. One of them said no. So I went straight into teaching them. It's okay to hang around them and play with them. I said, but always understand that they your enemies, and always understand that you're better than them. That's something, I wanted to teach my children early on. As soon as they start interact, because they gonna interact with white boys. They sometimes it might even get to a point where you might be like, man, that child is the devil, that's the enemy, that. And he ain't gonna understand it because all he see is coolness from this kid. So I tell him, I'm like, yeah, some of them are cool. Some of them are real cool, but never forget that these nation of people are your enemies. And you will always be better than them. Don't go into no dark places with them. Don't go into no alleys with them. Don't sneak out the house and try to go anywhere with them, because, they don't think how you think. At the end of the day, in a time of trouble, in a time of playing, like they think playing, obviously, Edomites think playing is hanging black dudes. They sweating, wiping the sweat off. They having fun doing that. Our fun is playing sports. So that's another thing that I was teaching to my children also.
That's a perfect example of showing how you're supposed to teach your children day and night, diligently, constantly, wherever they are. You're supposed to be teaching them the laws of the Most High God. So these children right here, his sons are going to be sons to follow after, because they know better. They were taught from an early age that they have natural enemies, people that hate them. And you got people of our nation that get caught up and getting hung, are getting raped, are getting trafficked because they think that those people are our friends, and they're not our friends. So this is how it's supposed to be. Teaching them from ground zero. Teaching them so that they can grieve the enemy. The enemy's like, man, I could never get him alone. He's not going to get him alone because his father taught him not to. His father taught him not to trust you. So he's never going to fall in that trap. And guess what? He's going to teach his children, and his children, his children. That's how it's going to go. So these things are very important. Right? So also, I do want to keep touching on and keep harping on, this just brings on more success for our children. But I want to say, the video that we watched about Venus and Serena Williams, that is a very important lesson. We see way too many of our people falling into poverty, and they don't have to. You don't have to fall into poverty. You don't have to struggle financially if you just raise your children from birth to get into a career. Have them a plan already mapped out for them. He said, you're going to be the greatest the world has ever seen because I planned for it that way. It was all according to his plan. He planned it from birth, before they were children. There was another guy that planned his children to be genius chess players before they were born. He presented this to his university, and the university didn't believe him. And he actually he said, well, all I need is a woman that would have children with me. And he found a woman that would have children with him. She gave him 3 daughters, and all 3 of them daughters grew up to be grand chess masters. Because he said geniuses are not born, they're created. And he went to prove that by giving birth, finding a woman that will go along with his plan, and then she would birth his children, and then he would raise them up. He had a plan before they were born, man. Success, right?
Hey, King David is a perfect example of that. Mm-hmm. He was looked down upon his own brothers, his own family. He wasn't looked at like that. The Most High created him to be King David, who he is today.
Beautiful example. Let's get back to Sirach chapter 30.
It says,
And start from verse 3.
verse 3, gone. It's Sirach 30, verse 3. It says, he that teacheth his son grieveth the enemy, and before his friends he shall rejoice of him.
Mm-hmm.
Though his father die, yet he is as though he were not dead. For he hath left one behind him that is like himself. While he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him. And when he died, he was not sorrowful.
And it's not sorrowful. That's a beautiful thing. That's something that we want to strive for, because there's way too many people that die on their deathbed. They wish they spent more time with their family. That's one of the things that I heard most when I came into the world. When I was in the world. When I was in the world, I heard most of. Am I sounding static? I feel like I'm sounding static.
Yes, sir.
Am I? I don't know.
I hear you. I hear you good.
I'm good. On your end?
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle. Y'all brothers go ahead and meet up for me. Maybe it's I'm hearing something from y'all. So one of the things that I heard most growing up in the world was I would do research on people on their deathbed. What did they want most? What did they regret most in life? And the number one thing that I heard was that people regretted not spending time with their family. They spent way too much time at work trying to get money. They were like, if they spent more time with their family, they would have had more joy when they were passing away. And here it says, while he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him. So like, yeah, phone cut off. He rejoiced in him, and when he died, he was not sorrowful. So he rejoiced while he was alive because of his son, or his daughter, was raised in the righteous way, and he was not sorrowful when he passed. That's going to bring you much joy in a time of sorrow, in a time where people expect for you to be sad because you're passing. This is what's going to bring you much joy, seeing your children being raised in righteousness. Go ahead, Zion.
This is verse 5. It says, all right, 30 verse 5. It says, while he lived, he saw and rejoiced in him. And when he died, he was not sorrowful. Verse 6. He left behind him an avenger against his enemies, and one that shall requite kindness unto his friends.
So this is a man that raised up an avenger. He raised up one like unto himself. He raised up one that knew exactly what he was supposed to do and what he was not supposed to do. This is how we're supposed to raise our children so that they can be success. So we don't hear any more stories of she was with a bunch of white ladies and she spent the night because she thought that they were her friends, and now she's gone. No one knows where she is. That is a horrible story. Those are horrible stories, man. We can't take joy in that because they are continuously falling after the same patterns and going after their enemies, right? Stop loving your enemies, man. Teach your child in righteousness. Teach them that they have people that hate them, that literally hate them. And some of them don't even know why. So we want to make sure that we teach our children. Go ahead.
Verse 7, it says, all right, 30 verse 7. He that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds, and his bowels will be troubled at every cry. Verse 8. And horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful.
God. So touching back on verse 7, he that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds. When you baby that boy too much, you're going to bind up his wounds. You're going to be babying him. You're going to be finding yourself. He's no longer able to be masculine. He's no longer able to be tough when he's supposed to, because you made too much of him. You made him. You coddled him when you wasn't supposed to. You know what I'm saying? You didn't let him get up and wipe his dust off his legs and get back up and try it again just because he's crying. keep going, keep pushing. Right? That's how you're going to make him a man. Not every time he gets a scrape, he's got to stop everything, go find a Band-Aid, go get his mama to kisses. That's not what's going to help make him a man, make him masculine, right? Where was you live? Read verse 8 again.
This is verse 8 of verse 7. It says, Sirach 30, verse 7, he that maketh too much of his son shall bind up his wounds, and his bowels will be troubled at every cry. Verse 8, and a horse not broken becometh headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful.
Right. So he's too headstrong. It says a horse not broken becometh headstrong. He has to be broken. Sorry, meet up. He has to be broken. That horse has to be broken, just like a child has to be broken. If the horse is not broken, he will be headstrong, and a child left to himself will be willful. So that's a child that will not be disciplined. That's a child that will not be corrected. That's a child who will lean on his own understanding, think that he knows what's best. So you got to make sure that that child is broken, and it starts all from when that child is a child, from a baby. You got to, the very first verse, it says, he that loveth his son causes him to oft to feel the rod. He that loveth his son causes him often to feel the rod, that he may have joy of him in the end. They say the best men, this is just what I heard. I heard they said that the best men are men that have gone through a lot of pain and hell. Those are the best men.
I heard that too.
You heard that too, Khan.
Yeah.
They've been through a lot of hell. And this is on a lot of different levels. That man has more experience. That man can show compassion. That man can show toughness when it's necessary. That's what we want. We want men, boys, to grow up to be men, masculine men, not soft men, not men that are not able. This is where the world is now. Men that are too soft or too timid, or that are emotional. They get real emotional at a certain situation, like not knowing how to deal, not knowing how to check their emotions and deal logically, pushing their emotions to the side, because we know that the man was not in the home, so that woman had to raise the mother had to raise him, and she didn't raise him according to being a man. So we have reverse roles, right? But going back to verse 8, read verse 9.
Yes, sir. It says, Sirach 30, verse 9. It says, conquer thy child, and he shall make thee afraid. Play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness.
John, that's a perfect example of verse 7 and verse 8. So you're supposed to control your child when he is young and make him afraid, right? Make sure that he fears you, because that's how he's going to learn. Go ahead.
It says,
Go ahead.
It says, conquer not thy child. Imagine you got your child in the gym every day. This thing, like this child getting bigger than you, tougher than you. Like you end up hitting him and he don't feel nothing. Eventually, you're going to get afraid of that child because it's nothing you can do to discipline this child no more. So sometimes conversations are necessary. And also to balance it out, what is the next thing you say after conquer a child?
it says,
Go ahead.
it says, play with him, and he will bring thee to heaviness.
You see that? It sounds confusing, but it's really not. It's just plainly a balance. You know, you got to use discernment when you sometimes, bro, you as a child, as a so-called black, you know, sometimes you're like, oh, hell no, I'm about to whoop your ass for this. No, that's you know when to whoop your child, bro, but you know when to have a conversation with them too. That's all it's saying is just have a balance.
John. Yeah, I seen this video where this mother, she was a friend to her child all the way up until she was grown, and now the mother is calling her the daughter's calling her a B word. You know what I'm saying? Kind of just a friend, like hitting her. I saw another video where the son is hitting the mother because she doesn't discipline the son at a young age. That's what happens when the whole lifespan is just being a friend to the child. That's not what you want to do. You want to make sure that you cause him to be afraid of you so that he knows that he has consequences to his actions. Right? So, verse 10.
Yes, sir. It says, laugh not with him, lest thou have sorrow with him. It says, and lest thou gnash thy teeth in the end. Give him no liberty in his youth, and weep not at his follies. Bow down his neck while he is young, and beat him on the sides while he is a child, lest he wax stubborn, and be disobedient unto thee, and so bring sorrow to thine heart. It says, chastise thy son, and hold him to labor, lest he be lewd behavior, be an offense unto thee.
God, this is what happens when you don't follow God's orders. When you don't follow God's orders, this is the child that you will receive. You will receive a child that is stubborn, that is not disciplined, that will hit you, that will treat you like a friend instead of a father or a mother. This is the type of child that you have raised because you didn't follow God's laws. Right? So I want to go ahead and get to.
Hey, are you about to leave off of this?
Go ahead, you got it.
All right. So when you read verse 11 and 12 in GNT, it's very detailed. It says, don't give him freedom while he is young, and don't overlook what he does wrong. Man, when we be at camp a lot of the time, especially when we used to go to Oklahoma City, that's all we would see. Remember, Captain, we would see adults, parents dropping their 10, 11, and 12-year-old kids off at downtown Harkin Theater, and they have all this freedom and liberty to do whatever they want to.
Yep.
And even when they did, because I'm sure these parents heard about the things that their child is doing downtown Harkin Theater, they overlooked it like verse 11 and it's telling them not to do. But they don't even know that this is in here. And then verse 12, it says, whip him while he is still a child. Right? But guess what? We're in captivity. Esau tells you if you whoop your child, that is abuse. You can be found whooping your child at a grocery store, in front of the house, anything, and an Edomite will see it, or sometimes maybe even your own people, and they'll call CPS, DHS, and next thing you know, these people are knocking on your door saying, we heard that you are, abusing your child. It's like, no, I whipped my child because of this. And then they got to do this whole investigation. You have a record, all this extra. It says, whip him while he is still a child and make him respect your authority. If you don't, he will be stubborn and disobedient and cause you nothing but sorrow. That goes back to the term, you can bend a branch, but you cannot bend a tree.
Let me get this last scripture. Let me get Daniel chapter 1. And start at verse 3, Bob Kushar. All right. The brother he clicked too many clicks, man.
What was it?
Can you give me Daniel chapter 1 and verse 3?
Daniel chapter 1 and verse 3.
3 through 4.
Yeah. Daniel chapter 1 and verse 3. It says, and the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, and he should bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed and of the princes.
Come on.
Children in whom has no blemish, Salakia, but well favored and skillful in all after the names of the tribes of Israel. Three gates northward, one gate of Reuben, one gate of Judah, one gate of Levi.
Salaki.
Oh,
What you have verse? Yeah.
Verse-
Your mind move.
That's it said, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning, in knowledge and understanding science, and such as had ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans.
So this is how our children were raised. A lot of our children were raised already having understanding in these areas, having wisdom, knowledge, understanding in science, right? They have abilities in different languages. So this is something that we see. That's right. That's right. This is something that we see in other nations, but not our own. We see our nation being raised up in twerk dances and doing funny videos. This is the things that we see our nation in. We need to get back to this. This is what we need to get back to. Children whom was no blemish and had favor and skill and all wisdom, cunning and knowledge, understanding and science. This is the things that we need to get back to. This is what we're supposed to be leading the other nations in, not in dancing. As low as we are in understanding, we're still leading and influencing the nations. We influence all the nations on the planet. That's a statistic, right? So-called African Americans, Hispanics, we influence all the nations on the planet. So if we led in righteousness, what do you think they're going to do? People are going to start following us because we put flavor to what we do. So, hey, can you jump down to verse 13? I'm sorry, 17.
Verse 17, it says, as for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams.
So again, this is what we need to get back to, raising our child so that they will be successful in life. Man, make sure your child is successful. Make sure he follows after the laws of the Most High God. Get with a man or a woman that have good understanding of what they're supposed to do so that they can have a good success in this lifetime, man. So, Captain, did you have anything?
Yes, I do. So as of now, what these children are known for, according to the Bible, if you look at, I'm talking about our children collectively, as a nation, it goes back to the children of Belial. Beli goes back to worth, and El goes back to less, I believe. Hold on, let me see. Belial, Yaal was without worth. That's what it means. So these children are without worth. Why? Because only thing they know is to grow up, is to mimic rap songs. And those niggas who rap in the songs is worthless. They just full of drugs, man. They don't know nothing. And the children are mimicking it. And this is what they are becoming, worthless children. Like perfect, what he just explained, skillful in the word, understanding visions, understanding history. Our children don't got that. We have to, the multitude of the wise is the welfare of the world. We have to start this. And this is why the work we do is important, man. It's the highest paying job on the earth. Right. But when I was looking at 1 Kings chapter 1, because this was going on with King David. 1 Kings chapter 1. Yeah, 1 Kings chapter 1. And this is when King David was getting older. He on his bed. I think chapter 11 or chapter 2 is where he give his speech to Solomon. But in chapter 1, it says, verse 5, then Adonijah, the son of Haggith, exalted himself, saying, I will be king. And he prepared him chariots and horsemen and 50 men to run before him. But guess what? King Solomon was already chosen to be the king. But he said, I'm going to make myself the king. This little boy grew up to be prideful, obviously. Right. And there's a reason for that. Right. And we know pride is hated before God and man. But it said, verse 6, and his father had not displeased him at any time in saying, why hast thou done this? And he also was a very goodly man, and his mother bare him after Absalom. But when you keep going on in the story, Adonijah was killed by Solomon because he kept trying to take the throne. If King David did not correct Adonijah. That's why Adonijah acted the way that he did. Not saying King David was a wicked man. We all have, our struggles and our problems. But, us having this wisdom, knowledge, and understanding that we got now, like King David said, I know more than the ancient. I believe that's what he said, roughly paraphrasing it. He said, I know more than the ancient. So we know all of this kind of information from the Old Testament to the New. So we are without excuse when it comes to raising our children, ourselves, and building a nation. That's all I want to go.
Time. Lord willing, brothers and sisters got edified. We're going to end off by that. Got to get to camp pretty soon. So your brother's time to get to camp. So with that, I'm going to give all praise, all honor, and all glory to the Most High God, Yahweh, by Hashem, HaMashiach, Yahushua. Shalom.
Shalom.